In about 24 hours, the whole state of Iowa is going to have their eyes on one game and one game only, and that is the Cyhawk game. Big noon kickoff is up in Ames. Everyone on Twitter has been talking about this game all week long. We have previewed this game, talked about it, and now we're finally here. We get to make our prediction of the 2025 Cyhawk game. The numbers that we are going to break down for you today are still crazy of just how these games are always just a battle on the field. No matter how good one team is or how bad another team is, these games are always a battle, and I can't wait to get to it. But first and foremost, thank you everyone for tuning in. Welcome to the show. I'm Justin Miller, the host of the Media Row podcast. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe, rate wherever you're listening or watching. Follow us on all social media platforms. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts or watch us on YouTube as well. These shows would not be possible without our two sponsors in Stevens Automotive and Sales and Kelly's Little Nipper. Kelly's Little Nipper, 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines, is always special because they were the very first place to jump on and join us at Media Row. We're brand new. You're still figuring things out, and this place joined us right away in March. So about 3 months in to us creating this. So a huge thank you to Kelly's Little Nipper for taking a chance on us. And you guys, it's not really taking a chance, but you guys just need to go over there to 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines. I say it's not taking a chance because they have a long run of great success because of the people they surround themselves with and the people you'd be surrounded by. They have great food, great drinks, but better people. And that's why you should go to Kelly's Little Nipper, because of the conversations, because of the people and the atmosphere. It's a great place to go watch the Cyhawk game this weekend. Make sure you go there to Kelly's Little Nipper. Use the keyword in Woodley, as in Joe Woodley, the head coach for the Drake Bulldogs, because use that keyword Woodley and the first drink is on the house. Not a bad way to start your Cyhawk weekend. So get over there, Kelly's Little Nipper, 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines. When you go there, make sure to let them know that Media Row sent you. So this show today is really going to be kind of a rapid fire show because we have a lot to get to. So we're going to do a lot of picks, a lot of previews because we have NFL starting this week. We had a game the other night of the Eagles and Cowboys. Now we have Chiefs and Chargers. The 2025 football season is in full swing now officially. High school is kicked off, college has kicked off, and we have a full slate of NFL games on Sunday. So we're going to go through our NFL games that I think will interest you and some that I've just looked at that I think are going to be incredible games, as well as our college football picks. So we have a lot to get to today. And like I said, going to be very rapid fire. But before we get to our NFL picks, I do want to dive into the Cyhawk game early on to just kind of give you a sense of where my head's at. I'm not going to spoil my pick because the pick is saved for the end of the show. So you have to stay tuned for my pick of the Cyhawk game 2025. But I do want to kind of give you a sense of where my head's at when I'm looking at these two squads. So I'm going to start with the concerns. And let's jump over to the visiting team with the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think you kind of understand where my concerns are going to be at with this team. It's the quarterback position. I understand that it was week 1. And let's backpedal a little. The clip that I put out on social media, I think some of you didn't fully understand what I was saying because there was a lot of upset Hawkeye fans at me saying, give this guy a chance. It's only week 1. I never said Gronkowski couldn't improve. I never said he wasn't a good football player. What I was saying is that a quarterback coming in with a lot of hype to Iowa City and starts off the year throwing for 44 yards against an okay Albany team. An okay's kind of a stretch. Didn't shock me, and that's more on the coaching than it is the player. It's been the same story for 5 years. Petrus, a lot of hype coming out of high school in California, broke all of Jared Goff's high school records. Comes to Iowa City, very, very mediocre. A lot of mechanic errors, a lot of missed throws, couldn't throw the ball deep, didn't get a lot of opportunities to throw the ball deep. And what were the concerns with Gronowski? Mechanic errors. Just missed throws. Looked a little rattled. And there's that cliche of the biggest improvements come from week 1 to week 2, which can be true, but in terms of Iowa, we haven't seen it. The improvement isn't there. So now, am I saying Gronowski can't be a good quarterback? Absolutely not. If he goes to Ames on Saturday, throws for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, you're going to hear me on Monday's show really praise him for the improvement he had and how it would be something I would sit here and go, we haven't seen an Iowa quarterback have such a slow start and make that drastic of an improvement week by week. We saw Cade McNamara in his first game against Utah in Kinnick throw for like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and threw the ball deep. Everyone was hyped. But what did we see? We saw a downgrade, if anything, from McNamara. So my concern with Iowa is never going to be the defense, is never going to be the run offense, because we know those two things are always going to be there because they show improvement, because of the people that are coaching them. Quarterbacks, totally different story for Iowa. So that is my main concern and where my head is at for Iowa. Now the number 16 team in the country, the home team, the Iowa State Cyclones. Biggest concern is the defense forcing Iowa to throw the ball, because Iowa's offensive line is so good. And again, even losing Kamari Moulton, it's not one of those injuries where I'm sitting there going, man, how is Iowa going to run the ball? Because Iowa can run the ball. You have Xavier Williams. You have a strong offensive line, and it's just what Iowa has proven time and time again that they can do consistently well. And then you have Iowa State losing Carson Willick, who that linebacker depth is still there. There's a lot of good players, Ebel, Bacon, but it's still a gut punch to Iowa State if you lose your linebacker in Willick and your whole game plan is really set on those linebackers stopping the run and that front line for Iowa State slowing down the run. So that's my biggest concern with Iowa State, because I think Rocco is an excellent quarterback. He proved it in Dublin. He proved it again against a FCS opponent in South Dakota a week ago. And then Iowa State has the experience already of having to play a tough environment game like they did in Dublin against Kansas State. So those are my concerns for both teams. My prediction, my pick will come later in the show. But that's just kind of where my head is at right now for Iowa and Iowa State. Now, we'll get to that game later on. I want to jump into the NFL first, because this is where we have a lot of fun, is picking these NFL games. And like I said, football is officially in full swing now. So let's start first with the game that kicks off tonight on YouTube of all places. You have the Chiefs and Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs -3.5 favorites. And to just make it plain and simple, when deciding who to pick for this game, I mean, do you really need to look anywhere else than the 3 main spots that the Chiefs have filled? The Chiefs are the new New England Patriots. How many years were there of, Patriots without a strong wide receiver group or injuries? How will Brady succeed? And they would always succeed because of Brady and Belichick. For Kansas City, as long as there's a coach named Andy Reid, as long as there's a tight end named Kelsey, and by the way, as long as they have the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes, I got the Chiefs all day. Now, does that mean later this season when they go up against the Ravens or Bills, I might pick against them? No. But in a game against the Chargers, who I think will be a little better, have had potential for years, but just haven't been able to get over the hump, I have the Chiefs. And I think they win by a touchdown, if not more. The Chargers lose Joey Bosa. That defense, I think, is still decent. But my biggest concerns with LA is, can Herbert play to his potential? I've been a Herbert fan for a while, but man, it's been a while. How many times have people talked about the potential of Herbert, but it's not the guys around him, or it's the coaching? Well, they've changed guys around him for better or for worse, and they've changed the coaching for better or worse. I think Harbaugh is a good coach, but I wonder if the run-first mindset would be enough in week 1 to take down Kansas City. I know more about Kansas City and feel more confident about the key role players and the coaching easily than I do LA. So I'm giving this week 1 victory to the Chiefs. That puts Justin Herbert's week 1 record to 3-2. He was 3-1 going into tonight's game. Last loss was in 2023 to the Dolphins. But give me the Chiefs, and I think they easily cover that 3.5. Moving down now to the Lions and Packers. Packers a 1.5 favorite at home at Lambeau. I kind of wanted to take Green Bay just to make the dude who gave me that signed Steve Largent jersey happy. But this is a tough one to pick from. Let's start with some of the offseason stuff. Biggest offseason news in all of the NFL came out of Green Bay when they made the move to grab Micah Parsons. Now the Lions, they're back with their strong defensive front and their key player on that defensive lineman in Aiden Hutchinson. He's healthy now. The Lions struggled to end 2024. Went 1-4 in their final 5 games before losing in the playoffs to Washington. Lost 3 out of those 4 games by 10 or more points. Really weird to see from Dan Campbell's squad because the defense has been one of the strongest parts. This feels like will be the 2 teams facing off to finish the year atop of the NFC North. But I really like the Lions. I still have faith in Campbell. I still have faith in the Lions because of that impressive offense. I think the defense is going to come out strong and not waver like they did in the final games of the year. That offense is loaded. You got a running back duo of Gibbs and Montgomery. You got Jared Goff, who's a very talented quarterback, Amos St. Brown on the wides, and then you got Sam Laporta as a strong tight end as well. I have so much more faith in the Lions offense, even with Micah Parsons rushing in at Jared Goff's face. I like the Lions to take down the Packers, and I think it'll be close, but I like the Lions on the road in this one. So moving on, Ravens at Bills. Toughest game having to pick. Toughest game of the week to pick. And you have such a great storyline. You have the best offense in 2024 in the Baltimore Ravens, kicking off 2025 on the road against a defense a year ago that was best in the league in turning over opponents. which, like we mentioned earlier, add Bosa from the Chargers to their defensive line. So now Lamar, now Derrick Henry are going to have to worry about Bosa in front of them as well as Ed Oliver. Strong linebackers. The Bills have had a strong defense. Last year kind of took a step back than we're used to seeing from Buffalo in the years prior. You have the two QBs in Lamar and Josh Allen really being the front runners and the head of every debate in the NFL a season ago with who should win MVP. Allen, of course, being the reigning MVP. But I really like Lamar and the Ravens in this one. It's going to be really close, and I kept going back and forth on these two teams because I really like Josh Allen as well. But Lamar Jackson just has incredible weapons at his disposal that I don't think Josh Allen has. If you can go back to last year, I weighed in on the Allen-Jackson debate. And one of the reasons I said Josh Allen should win MVP over Lamar Jackson was because of the weapons. Josh Allen, you look at that roster, and yeah, there's some good players, but you look at Lamar Jackson's roster, and you go, okay, yeah, that's why he's able to put up all those yards. Look at the guys he has around him. He has one of the best tight ends in Mark Andrews, who is definitely excited to play Buffalo, not in the freezing cold, and to try to get revenge after dropping what would be a game winner last year. You have great wideouts in Flowers, and you add in Hopkins. Oh, and then don't forget, while Lamar Jackson is the biggest running threat quarterback in the league, Buffalo has to try to combine a option stop against Lamar and the best running back in the league in Derrick Henry. Top two. You can make an argument for Barkley as the best running back in the league. But man, I think the option play should be, and this is joking, of course, should be banned for Baltimore. It seems so unfair. Every time I watch a Baltimore Ravens game, I'm sitting there going, how do defenses even try to stop this? Because you have Derrick Henry, who downhill is the toughest running back to stop, and I will argue that with anyone. I don't know how you stop Derrick Henry when he gets charging downhill. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who just agility and speed combined for a dangerous mix. So I like the weapons that Lamar Jackson has to go on the road and take down Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So, to finish up the NFL conversation, you guys clearly can see I'm a Seahawks fan, and I won't talk about the Seahawks every week. But this game does feature Brock Purdy and George Kittle. It's Cyhawk week. Figured this would be one of the times I'm allowed to say it. Plus, you guys seem to like the Seahawk talk I had last year. One of our most viewed videos on social media was my Seahawk rant after that horrible Sunday night game against Green Bay. They have San Francisco at Seattle, -2.5 going to the 49ers on the road. Off-season discussions, a lot of changes for Seattle. No longer having Geno Smith as the QB. Tyler Lockett, a longtime veteran wide receiver, leaves. DK Metcalf goes to the Steelers. And so there was a lot of changes for Seattle offensively. New offensive coordinator, which seems like it is a good move after seeing how Grubb struggled against Florida State with Alabama. Sam Darnold comes in for Geno Smith. I, as a Seahawks fan, feel like that was very linear. Do not feel like it was an upgrade or a downgrade. Feel like Geno and Sam have the same potential. Sam maybe a higher ceiling just because of his age, only 28 years old. But you go to the 49ers, and while they still have their main guys involved, just feels like a lot of chaos. You hear it on NFL Network and ESPN of just things just don't seem right with San Francisco. A lot of drama. Name I need to mention too that I forgot from Seattle is Cooper Kupp coming from LA. So Seattle still has a decent offensive attack even with losing Lockett, DK. So this game each and every year, I always feel like Seattle is going to split. Now, 5 years ago, I used to think they win at home, they lose on the road. Hasn't been the storyline since. Last year, Seattle winning in San Francisco and getting destroyed in Seattle. This is going to be a very close game. Very close game. But I expect Seattle to squeak by in an ugly win. I don't think it's going to be pretty. Both teams, week one, trying to get used to everything. Seattle more used than San Francisco with all the new additions. But the run game I'm really confident in with Charbonnet and Walker. And McDonald, I have faith in him turning around this team for Seattle. And really turning around the defense for Seattle. You look at his history. When McDonald was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, year one, they were 8th in the league. So he took over a really good team already, but they were only 8th in the league. He bumped them up to number 1 in 1 year. Went up 7 spots. Seattle was 14th a year ago, and that's after years of being one of the bottom teams. So in 1 year, he had them skyrocketed to the kind of the middle of the pack. So I expect him to keep that going as long as players are healthy. So I like Seattle here in the upset, taking down San Francisco in week 1. So we'll keep track of our NFL picks like we do our college football picks. Now moving forward to the college football weekend, a lot of really tough games to pick from. I mean, I try to only stick with about 4 or 5 games, but there was a lot to choose from. A lot of people talking about Florida and USF. You have SMU and Baylor. You have Illinois and Duke. There's a lot of tricky games to pick from. But I'm going to start in the Big 12. You have Arizona State, a 6.5-point favorite on the road against Mississippi State. Did you guys see by chance the videos on social media of the coaches using the cowbells against Arizona State, trying to get them used to that crowd noise? Because that's going to be a huge factor. That's not an easy place to play in. And I was someone at the start of the year, preseason, I'm looking at this Arizona State team. And they have them ranked in the top 25, in the top 20. You have a team that a lot of people are picking to win the Big 12 along with Kansas State. They were kind of the 2 front runners. And I just wasn't feeling that hype. You lost a lot with Scadaboo. So I think this game, if anything, will prove to me whether or not Arizona State is built for this big of a stage when they lose their star running back and their main offensive weapon in Scadaboo. But I'm looking at this game, and you don't know how hard it was to pick, as I really wanted to go with the upset. I really wanted to pick Mississippi State. But I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking it's going to be a tight matchup. But the quarterback in Leavitt for Arizona State may not have looked amazing in week 1. But I think, like we mentioned early on with the kind of cliche of biggest changes from week 1 to 2, I think he's going to get his composure. And I feel like he's going to lead this team to a victory in a really tight matchup. I do think Mississippi State covers that 6.5. But I like Arizona State to win this. And maybe not, we'll get a better feeling of Arizona State and whether or not they're proven to be a team to be reckoned with. So give me Arizona State. Moving on, sticking in the Big 12, We have Baylor at 17, SMU. SMU favored by 2.5. And in a weird turn of events, a loss impressed me more about a team and showed me more about a team than a win did. Baylor really impressed me, despite losing to Auburn in week 1. That early test definitely gives you more insight than a blowout victory in week 1. I think you have Baylor's strong passing offense and a really strong secondary going up against an SMU team that likes to try to throw the ball downfield. I think Sawyer Robertson showed incredible poise and really showcased his talent against Auburn. 419 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, so no mistakes box score-wise for Robertson. So really it comes down to, can Baylor just get somewhat of a run game going? If Baylor can run the ball even slightly, that opens up so many more options for Sawyer, and it opens up the field for the offense. Where I'm going upset here, I like the Baylor Bears because they've been tested. Their quarterback really impressed me. And it really comes down to, I think, Baylor, you just run the ball slightly, you improve it ever so slightly, you beat SMU on the road. SMU, I just feel like there's going to be turnovers with that Baylor secondary. And if they turn it over and you give Sawyer a short field to play with, this Baylor team can do some damage. Now moving on to the game of the night, not the day, because we're getting to that one next. Yeah, 15 Michigan at 18 Oklahoma. -4.5 is Oklahoma. And this one, I wrote down so many numbers trying to crunch down who's going to win this game. And I started with Michigan. Look at Michigan. They're a team last season ranked 130th in the passing game, in total passing offense in the country. Yet with all of that, they still beat the number 1 team in Ohio State. They beat USC. They beat 17 Alabama without really being able to pass the ball. Now you look at Michigan after week 1. Yes, it wasn't against a great opponent, but still, you had a true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood throw for 251 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Looked really comfortable. So you have a Michigan team that this season is going to be well better off in terms of a balanced offensive attack. So I really, at first, was going to go Michigan. But you look at it and you go, true freshman quarterback. A lot of potential. Think he can lead a team to a victory in a game like this, in an atmosphere like this. But maybe not in week 2. That is a tough early test for the Wolverines. And Oklahoma is a team that I'm not super hyped on. I would not be shocked if they're not in the top 25 by the middle of the year, just with that SEC schedule. But I like their experience, their tough defense going up against a freshman quarterback, especially at home. As long as Oklahoma doesn't shoot themselves in the foot and turn over the ball, I believe the Sooners win this game. And I guess in terms of ranking, get the upset. But man, the country is kind of on the side of Oklahoma with that 4.5 favorite. I think Oklahoma wins this one. This was a really tough week of college football to pick from. Last week did really strong, 3-1. We're 3-2 overall on the season. But man, going through these games, I was not sitting here being really confident. I think this week, what a great 2 weeks of college football, because it usually feels like outside of the Cy-Hawk game, week 2 kind of stumbles along. Week 1 has a lot of hype. There's a handful of big games each and every year. Week 2 kind of stumbles. You have those Ohio State, Grambling State type games. Not this week, not this year. A lot of good games to pick from. Illinois Duke was another one that we didn't even preview that I think could be good as well. But let's get into it. The moment you've all been waiting for. The Cy-Hawk game. I love this game. I'm one of those people where I'd understand if in the future they get rid of this rivalry because of conference realignment, all that stuff. I love this rivalry, though. It is the Super Bowl in the state. Everyone's glued to the TV, and everyone talks about it. Iowa versus number 16 Iowa State in Jack Trice Stadium. Iowa State trying to win 2 in a row. Iowa trying to get revenge after a really, really heartbreaking way to lose a game a year ago in Kinnick, where Iowa felt like they controlled that game. Usually I'd say, 3 out of the 4 quarters. Man, they controlled that game for the entire game except for the final 4 minutes where Rocco and Conradi just had the clutch gene. So Iowa State at home, the home teams haven't fared well the past few years. Seems like home field advantage is almost a disadvantage, as John Walters told us on Wednesday. This game is always a battle. And this game is always a battle in the trenches. A week ago, Iowa was ranked in the country as one of the best offensive lines after their performance against Albany. Iowa State, on the other hand, their defensive line, already with that experience from week 0 of slowing down a running back attack from one of last year's top rushing teams in Kansas State, holding the running backs to only a combined total of 89 yards. It is going to come down for Iowa State, easier said than done, of stopping the run. In the previous 20 matchups, the team that wins the rushing battle has gone on to win the game. Only 5 times in the last 20 years has the team that has won the running game lost it. That's incredible. And that shows you how these two teams' mindsets are. If Iowa State slows down Iowa's run attack, it forces Iowa to beat Iowa State off of the arm of Gronowski. It forces them to be way too one-dimensional. If Iowa, on the other hand, stops Iowa State's run game of Hansen and Abu Sama, they have to worry about the arm talent of Rocco, who could be sitting in New York at the end of the year. Rocco has so many weapons of Bramer and Burkle as tight ends to go along with a strong running game, to go along just with his pinpoint accuracy and his confidence, that even if Iowa stops Iowa State in the running game, I don't think it will be enough. As on the other side, if Iowa State forces Iowa to be one-dimensional, Iowa State wins. And for that reason, give me the Cyclones winning at Jack Trice for the first time since 2011 in that crazy triple overtime game. I think Rocco and his arm talent is just too many weapons and too many facets where Iowa just needs to rely on too much happening to force Iowa State to lose. Give me the Cyclones. Iowa State, I think, wins against Iowa and establishes themselves through 3 weeks as the best team in the Big 12. Give me Iowa State against Iowa. Here we go. And I'm so excited to see what you guys think about it. I'm going to put out a poll, so make sure to follow us at Twitter at Media Row Pod. Going to put out a poll to see where the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones favor and who you think will win this weekend. A lot of football to watch this weekend, a lot to get to next week as well. So happy to have you guys along with us here in football season, full swing, NFL, college, all that good stuff. And then we're going to blink, and in October, we're going to start even talking basketball, which is crazy to think about already. So, happy Friday. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Have a safe weekend. Before we wrap up, need to give a shout out to Stevens Automotive and Sales at 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive in Johnston, Iowa. 35 years of family owned and operated here in the state. Best place to go for any of your car issues. get over there for an oil change, or if you're looking to get a new car for yourself or for that family member just getting on the road, best place to go to. Their communication is second to none, and there's no BS involved over there at Stevens Automotive and Sales, 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive in Johnston, Iowa. When you do, make sure to let them know that Media Row sent you. Thank you guys again so much for this week. Thank you to John Walters for coming on Wednesday. Next week, Monday, of course, as always, a lot of recapping from the action of this weekend. Then on Wednesday, we're back with our buddy and Coach Joe Woodley as Drake hits the road to South Dakota State to take on the Jackrabbits in a huge FCS matchup. So, hope to see you guys there. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you Monday for a new edition of the Media Row Podcast.